This story is a work of fiction, inspired by real events. Names, dates, locations, and identifying details have been changed or dramatized to protect privacy and enhance the narrative. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental or used fictitiously. This content is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. It does not aim to glorify crime, promote violence, or pass judgment on real individuals. Viewer discretion is advised. Some scenes may contain mature, disturbing, or triggering content. What you are about to watch could have happened anywhere, to anyone. It's inspired by real events. Whispers of truth, buried beneath layers of fiction. We've changed the names, the dates, the locations, but the emotions, the betrayal, the fear, those are real. This story is not meant to accuse, only to reveal, to make you question, who do you really trust? If stories like this keep you thinking, long after they end, hit subscribe, smash like, and drop your theory in the comments. Now watch closely, before the truth disappears again.
Summer 2022, Greenwood, Mississippi. The sun bathed the streets in a warm golden light, children's laughter echoed from porches, and the Coleman's home glimmered like a beacon of family warmth. Aniyah Coleman, 38, a respected local judge, walked through her garden, the fragrance of blooming magnolias filling the air. Marcus Coleman, 40, her husband, tended to the small vegetable patch, humming softly. Their daughter, Zaria, 17, and little Jalen, 7, played tag in the yard, their carefree laughter a soundtrack to the idyllic morning. Life appeared perfect. The neighbors, like Carol Thompson, often remarked how the Colemans embodied stability. Yet beneath the surface, subtle shifts were beginning, small, almost imperceptible, like cracks forming in a polished vase. Malik Jordan, 21, Zaria's mature and charming boyfriend, entered the frame. His presence, respectful and gentle, drew smiles from Zaria, nods from Marcus, but for Aniyah, something inside stirred, an attention that would soon spiral into obsession. She observed him from the kitchen window, her thoughts lingering longer than propriety allowed. Aniyah's fixation was silent but intense. She watched every interaction between Malik and Zaria, memorizing gestures, timing conversations, and imagining herself in Malik's world. It was a thought she couldn't shake. A thought that would grow into a dangerous obsession. Little did the Greenwood community know, behind the beauty of summer, a storm was quietly forming inside the Coleman household. If you're captivated by the quiet secrets hiding behind seemingly perfect families, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every story we share peels back the layers of real crime, obsession, and human tragedy, so you won't want to miss a single moment. But what happens when admiration turns into obsession, and the boundaries of trust and love are shattered? Coming up next, we meet Malik Jordan, the young college student whose life would unknowingly become entangled in a deadly web of desire, jealousy, and betrayal. By late summer 2022, Aniyah's attention toward Malik had intensified. At first, it was small, checking his presence at the school parking lot when Zaria visited, lingering over conversations she had no reason to overhear. Marcus noticed the subtle changes. Aniyah would smile faintly at something unspoken, or pause while reading texts between Zaria and Malik. "Is everything all right?" he asked gently, but she deflected with practiced ease, her charm hiding the deepening fixation. Neighbors, like Carol Thompson, observed late-night car trips, mysterious pacing in the driveway, and whispered conversations with herself. Pastor Raymond Black noted her increasingly haunted gaze during Sunday services, though no one suspected the full extent of her obsession. Aniyah's internal world became dominated by Malik. She imagined conversations, minute interactions, and his approval. Even mundane household routines became rituals, checking the clock, arranging furniture, and rehearsing conversations with Malik in her mind. As autumn approached, small cracks appeared in the family's daily life. Zaria whispered warnings to Marcus, "Mom's acting different." Marcus reassured her, unaware of the obsession that would soon erupt into catastrophe. Early fall 2022. Aniyah's fixation no longer stayed in her mind, it manifested in tangible actions. She would secretly read Malik's messages, linger near Zaria's room under the guise of chores, and invent excuses to be in Malik's vicinity. Every glance, every smile, every gesture from him fed her obsession. She began keeping journals, meticulously recording interactions, imagining future scenarios, and rationalizing the moral boundaries she intended to cross. The journals, hidden in her bedside drawer, were filled with her private justifications and vivid daydreams. Marcus and Zaria noticed small behavioral shifts. Arguments erupted over trivial matters, and Zaria felt a strange tension whenever Malik visited. Little Jalen sensed the unease too, his playful laughter shrinking in response to hushed tones and anxious glances. Neighbors, in retrospect, described unusual patterns, late-night pacing, whispered self-talk, and an intensity in Aniyah's eyes that had once been warmth. Pastor Black later recalled thinking she seemed haunted by something unseen, yet all-consuming. The storm within Aniyah's mind had taken root. By the end of fall 2022, what began as fascination had evolved into an all-consuming, secret fixation, silently pulling the Coleman family toward a tragic fate. Mid-fall 2022. Aniyah's attention toward Malik no longer hid behind casual observation. She began seeking excuses to interact with him directly, offering rides, asking for his advice on small household tasks, lingering at Zaria's school functions. Her charm masked the dangerous undertone. Marcus occasionally noticed her insistence on conversations about Malik, but Aniyah skillfully diverted his attention with humor or concern for Zaria. Neighbors started noticing subtle irregularities. Carol Thompson recalled seeing Aniyah watching Malik from the driveway, sometimes for hours, while pretending to water her plants. Pastor Black described her during church, a distant gaze, fingers nervously fidgeting with her hymnal, eyes momentarily fixed on Malik when he passed. Aniyah's mind became a stage for imagined scenarios, walks with Malik, private conversations, small shared secrets. Each thought reinforced her fixation, eroding her ability to see right from wrong. By mid-fall, the line between admiration and obsession had blurred entirely. Late fall 2022. Aniyah no longer merely watched, she began orchestrating subtle manipulations to gain Malik's attention. She would rearrange household routines to coincide with his visits, intercept messages from Zaria, and subtly criticize Zaria to make Malik notice her presence. Marcus sensed growing tension. He tried to engage Aniyah in conversations about boundaries, but her deflections were precise. "I just care about Zaria's happiness," she would say, her tone calm, betraying nothing of the storm within. Zaria, increasingly uneasy, whispered to her friends about her mother's strange behavior. Lingering stares, obsessive questions about Malik, and sudden mood swings. Even Jalen, young and perceptive, seemed wary, avoiding his mother's gaze at times. Neighbors noticed late-night pacing, faint mutterings, and a fixation on the Coleman family's yard, subtle, almost invisible, yet chilling in retrospect. Aniyah's obsession had moved from private thought to observable action, quietly tightening its grip on the household. October 2022. The obsession reached a new, dangerous peak. Aniyah discovered she was pregnant, a secret she planned to keep hidden, framing it in her mind as the ultimate justification for her desires. Marcus and Zaria noticed her increased irritability and secrecy. Aniyah's attention toward Malik became almost ritualistic, her movements calculated, her gaze lingering longer than propriety allowed. She imagined a future with Malik, rationalizing the pregnancy as a bridge to the life she desired. Neighbors continued to notice unusual behavior. Carol Thompson recounted, she would sit at the window for hours, staring at Malik's car in the driveway, whispering to herself. Pastor Black observed her during Sunday services, fingers twisting nervously, a distant gaze, silent lips moving as if in conversation. Aniyah's journals became even more detailed, chronicling her imagined life with Malik, her careful planning, and her belief that the pregnancy was the key to securing him. The household tension grew, Zaria's anxiety mounting, and Marcus's attempts to intervene met with calm yet unwavering deflection. By late fall 2022, Greenwood had no idea how close the storm was, or the darkness it would bring into the Coleman home. November 2022. Aniyah's fixation on Malik had grown into an all-consuming obsession. She no longer only observed, she orchestrated. She timed household routines around Malik's visits, monitored Zaria's every interaction, and meticulously controlled the environment to ensure she remained central in Malik's imagined world. Marcus began sensing danger. He noticed late-night pacing, whispered mutterings, and her constant, lingering glances toward Malik when he visited. "Aniyah, this isn't healthy," he warned, but she smiled calmly, deflecting concern with practiced ease. Zaria felt trapped. She whispered to friends about her mother's unnerving intensity and the strange tension in the household. Jalen, young but perceptive, instinctively avoided Aniyah's gaze when she lingered too long near him. Neighbors noted subtle but disturbing patterns: a car parked outside at odd hours, lights flickering late into the night, and Aniyah's silhouette staring into the darkness as if waiting. Pastor Black later described her as haunted, as though reality and desire had fused into something terrifying. Aniyah's journals, once private reflections, now outlined precise steps and imagined outcomes, revealing a mind completely overtaken by obsession. December 2022. The tension within the Coleman household became palpable. Marcus attempted interventions, suggesting counseling, space, or boundaries, but Aniyah remained unwavering, her charm and calm masking a dangerous intent. Zaria, increasingly fearful, began noticing Aniyah's manipulations, her mother arranging the living room to intercept Malik, subtly criticizing Zaria to make herself appear more desirable, lingering behind doors to observe. Little Jalen shivered at hushed conversations and sudden silences, sensing danger he could not yet name. Neighbors like Carol Thompson recalled strange scenes, Aniyah standing at the window for hours, murmuring to herself, while Malik's car remained in the driveway. Pastor Black observed a cold intensity during services, her fingers twisting and lips moving as if in a private dialogue with Malik. Aniyah's journals now detailed conversations she had imagined with Malik, step-by-step plans to remove perceived obstacles, and rationalizations for crossing moral boundaries. The storm had moved from her mind into her home, tightening its grip on every member of the family. Early January 2023. Warning signs became impossible to ignore. Marcus pleaded with Aniyah, confronting her about the intensity of her behavior. Zaria begged for normalcy, her voice shaking. Jalen sensed fear in the adult's eyes, his small hands clutching his favorite blanket. Neighbors observed unusual activity, Aniyah pacing under the streetlight, lingering near Malik's parked car, whispering fragments of conversation to herself. Pastor Black later testified about the unnatural quiet in the house when she was present, a stillness that set his nerves on edge. Aniyah's journals now mapped detailed interactions, imagined conversations, and steps to ensure Malik's attention. Her obsession had reached its peak, her mind fully detached from moral constraints. By mid-January 2023, Greenwood was unaware that the household, once a model of warmth, was primed for tragedy. The final warning signs were visible only to those who knew where, and how, to look. Early February 3, 2023, Greenwood, Mississippi. The Coleman home stood silent under a gray winter morning. Aniyah Coleman, consumed by months of obsession with Malik Jordan, had crossed the point of no return. She moved through the house with calculated precision. Her hands trembled slightly as she checked locks, rearranged furniture, and whispered Malik's name under her breath, imagining his approval. Every step was deliberate, rehearsed in her mind countless times. Marcus saw the intensity in her eyes. Fear coiled in his chest as he tried to reason with her. Zaria crouched against the wall, clutching Jalen's hand tightly, whispering, "Stay calm, please." Jalen's small body trembled, aware of danger he could not name. Aniyah struck swiftly. She pinned Marcus, silencing his desperate pleas. Zaria lunged to protect her brother, but Aniyah moved with cold precision. Family photographs fell to the floor, muffled thuds echoing in the hall. A scream. A thud. Silence. Then, nothing. Neighbors would later recount a strange, heavy quiet, broken only by the occasional thump from inside the house. Pastor Black described the scene in hindsight. Aniyah had become a force of obsession. Nothing else existed in her reality. By morning, the house that once radiated warmth had become a monument to tragedy. Marcus, Zaria, and Jalen were gone, victims of a meticulously planned act driven by obsession. When authorities arrived, the scene was chilling and precise. Locks secured, furniture rearranged, journals meticulously detailing imagined conversations with Malik and rationalizations for her actions. Neighbors like Carol Thompson described what they had noticed in retrospect: late-night pacing, whispered self-talk, and long hours staring out windows. Pastor Black recalled the haunted gaze he had observed for weeks before the tragedy. First responders observed the eerie stillness. Even the dog's bed was untouched, one officer noted. Evidence pointed to premeditation, and forensic analysis confirmed every step had been carefully planned. The Greenwood community struggled to comprehend the horror. Experts highlighted the psychological indicators: obsessive fixation, escalating manipulations, and moral disengagement. The story of the Colemans became a somber reminder of the destructive power of unchecked obsession. Communal mourning began, but so did reflection. Friends, neighbors, and church members asked how a respected judge and devoted mother could commit such acts, and what signs had gone unnoticed. Aniyah Coleman was swiftly arrested. Throughout the trial, the courtroom was tense. Friends, neighbors, and church members watched, struggling to reconcile the image of a respected judge with the person responsible for this atrocity. Prosecutors presented a meticulous case, journals, witness testimony, and forensic evidence outlining premeditation. Witnesses described her obsession with Malik, escalating behavior, and violent acts that shattered her family. Defense attorneys argued her mental state had deteriorated under obsession, highlighting psychological evaluations describing deep delusion. The prosecution countered with evidence of careful planning and awareness of consequences. Courtroom details added realism: 12 jurors, 2 days of deliberation, and a courtroom heavy with grief and tension. Malik's presence was felt indirectly, through the obsession documented in journals and witness statements. When the guilty verdict was read, the courtroom reacted with silence, tears, and shock. Aniyah Coleman received life imprisonment without parole. The trial served as a grim lesson: unchecked obsession, moral collapse, and ignored warning signs can destroy lives in ways the community never expects. The tragedy of the Coleman family is a chilling reminder of how obsession can silently take root and destroy lives. What began as admiration spiraled into control, deception, and violence, leaving an entire family gone and a community shocked. Let this story serve as a warning: extreme fixation, secrecy, and unchecked behavior can escalate beyond recognition. Notice the warning signs, speak up when something feels wrong, and protect those you love before it's too late. If this story gave you pause, consider subscribing for more real-life cases, where we uncover the human motives behind shocking crimes. Hit the bell to stay updated, and step into the world where every warning matters, and every story has a lesson.